Welcome, guys, to Five Aside. This is AK, and I have a very wonderful, disgruntled, and happy United fan
Okay.
over here. How you feeling, my man?
Uh, I'd be lying if I'm saying like mixed feelings of like, man, I'm sad United lost, but like, I'm actually happy that we lost. It was a necessary evil, so I'm feeling good. Feeling good.
I feel like I think my first question is why did you guys wait so late? Like why? Because I'm looking at the stats right now, yeah, and I saw the game too. But first half, right, you guys were like abysmal. You understand? And second half, after the red card, I saw a different United. And sometimes numbers don't lie, right? First half, you guys had let me see the shots you guys had. So total shots first half was six,
Hmm.
targets was two, right? Second half, total shots was 14, on targets was seven, compared to Leeds. Leeds in the first half they had 10 shots, five on targets. Second half they had 5 shots, one on target. So there's a huge contrast. You understand? And my thing is it until like the push comes to shove and then you guys have been pushed to the back that then say, okay, yeah, okay, let us play? Or is it a matter of you guys have been rusty from not playing for like over like 24 days now, right? Is it like that rustiness and then you guys couldn't like get used to the rhythm of the of the Premier League and Premier League teams, or what really happened and why did you guys wait so late?
I would answer this in two ways. One, the reason why there was a chance we could come back was because Leeds didn't kill off the game. I
Mm-hmm.
remember I was telling my brother, I was like, this is why Leeds are 15th. There were spells in the game where they could have really gone 3-0 up, 4-0 up in the second half, after the Charles red card, where they could have gone 3-0 up, 4-0 up. And they're 15th for a reason. They couldn't kill the game. So over time, if you let a team as individually, like with the individual quality that we have, Man United, and it's at home, we will have to press, we'll have to come forward. And we scored from something that we do all the time, set piece, Bruno waxed it in Casemiro heads. But other than that, I don't think United looked that threatening, even when we wanted to um, get back in the game. And then the second one is that honestly, it's not any different from what we've been doing since Carrick came. We
Mm-hmm.
just haven't had a reason to do those things to come back into a game. We've kind of had the games go our way most of the time, so we've not had to see that. But
Mm-hmm.
this is pretty similar to what I've seen post Amorim, Ten Hag. So whatever happened in this game was nothing new. And it's on Leeds, honestly, for even giving us a chance to even think we come back because they really could have finished us off if they wanted to. But I don't know why they just didn't. So I wouldn't say we waited late. I just think that circumstances just dictated that we should try to do something.
Yeah, yeah. So this Carrick first loss, I believe, at Old Trafford, right?
Yes.
And I know we've been having that conversation of should they extend this contract? Should we keep it interim for now? Looking at this loss, like judging him tactically, first half, second half, right? I pretty much he made some tactical changes second half. Brought in Umbremo and what's this guy? Umbremo and this other guy.
Dalo.
And what is it?
Dalo.
And Dalo, yeah. And then they took off Sesko and is it Mazaral?
Yes. That's
Yes.
right.
So you see that okay, and I think that was like for like changes. That's
Yeah.
like for like. Yeah? So and obviously you had to change the shape. Bruno dropped deep, if I'm correct. Dropped deep right after the red card, right? So my thing is tactically, you've seen him doing it, seen him now. Try to pick up the pace after a red card, 10 man down. Are you based on the performance after the red card? Do you feel like Carrick Carrick has that tactical onus to start you guys on next season?
Um, what I want to say, I think I need to buttress it with the fact that I don't dislike Carrick.
Mhm.
I don't think he's a bad manager. But games like this is why I always thought in the first place, like when I said before, this team will go through hard times and Carrick is going to have to coach. He is just not equipped or experienced enough yet
I give it to
to
you.
really go into a tactical battle with these managers.
yeah,
Now we've been winning games. We win that whole four game winning streak, and then we were unbeaten for a little bit. But you could tell that he was just fielding his best team on the field and letting them do the best they can do.
yeah,
He doesn't have the experience yet to tactically um, win his team games. He just doesn't have it yet, and I fear for him because if we feed him to this beast that like that Man United is, the reputation that we give managers after we fire them, I don't want to do that to him. And that's literally what happened today. He depended solely on what his team can do individually. There was nothing that we could fall back on. And when you don't win the games, because winning covers everything, when you don't win the games, you see the team for what it is. It was literally what happened. Well, I don't think Ole was a bad manager either, but we threw him into this thing way too early. And I don't want to do the same with him because I just don't think he had any answers for it.
yeah,
I don't.
yeah. All right, David, I think I have a question for you because the question for you is I already know the base answer of this question. I think you already know this question I'm asking already. It's a two-in-one question. When the season started, it was Casemiro, give the game for the game leaves you. Now I see another rejuvenated Casemiro, right? Bruno, there's this question mark on should we cash out on him now or should we stay? Having a good season individual. I think it's the highest when it comes to our season. I think 17 now, I'm correct for Bruno. Do you want Bruno to stay next season? And if you can find him, give me an ideal replacement for Casemiro next season. And then if you want Bruno to stay next season.
Okay, hang on. So you're basically asking if I want Casemiro to stay and if I want Bruno to stay, right?
So Casemiro is leaving, Son is leaving, so obviously
Yeah, Cas is
that's
leaving. That's yeah.
so give me an ideal replacement for him. That's
Okay.
you. And also if you want Bruno Fernandes to stay next season.
Okay, so on Casemiro to begin with, I think it's going to be very hard for the club to replace him simply because of the fact that they don't even know what they want from midfield in general. And this is something I've noticed simply because of the fact that we still don't know what our best midfield pairing is. And we've been playing Kobe Mainu and Casemiro for a while now, and it's kind of worked, even though I don't think it's really worked, but it's kind of worked. We've been able to steady the ship kind of because we're winning games with Carrick, so they think it works. But I think United have been stuck in this kind of purgatory for a long time, where it's like, obviously, not really in the context of Amarin, but just in the sense of do we settle down and build and do what a manager wants, or do we just, not do that? And so you get caught in this crossroads of, okay, this is kind of what the manager wanted in midfield. That's why we have Ugarte currently. This is what this manager wants in midfield. We fired him. That didn't work. So we brought Carrick in to kind of steady the ship. And this is what he's doing. So it's purgatory right now. We really don't know what we want in midfield. Like going into next season, we do not know what our ideal midfield should look like. Like what teams want. Like when, for example, when Arsenal signed Rice, when City signed, even like to be honest, when they signed Calvin Phillips and when they signed Rodri, they had an idea of like, okay, this is kind of what we want. And even if it doesn't work for that first season and it's struggling, you're like, you have a vision of what you want. And, even if it doesn't work for that first season, you can still see a way out of it because you have a vision of what you want to achieve. But the problem is United are so short-minded, even not even the fans, but the organization itself, where they don't seem to stick to anything. And so that's why we go into seasons, and now it's like last season, when we signed Ugarte, we wanted a destroyer. That's what we wanted. Now we don't want a destroyer anymore. And it's like, and Casemiro is this guy that he's so experienced that he does so many things very well. For example, Casemiro is very good at wingers making the runs. He gets the ball from Bruno. He can play it first time. There's very few midfielders that can
Yeah.
do that. So you
Yeah.
have that side of his game that you kind of want to replicate as well. But he's also really good aerially, offensively and defensively. So there's so many guys who are still playing, who are kind of like not as experienced as Casemiro that can't do all of that. So you're gonna get caught chasing one guy that's overly one thing or one guy that's overly another thing, simply because we don't know what we want. We're just trying to replace Casemiro that's leaving. That's why the Casemiro thing is such a problem because you are trying to replace what is leaving. You are not looking for what you want to build. You're just trying to replace what is leaving. not even take into account, oh, who are we getting if we don't get Carrick? Are we keeping Carrick? How do we want to play with Carrick? You're just trying to replace the guy that's there because that's the guy that's there. So that's why it's for me. It's so hard to say who I want as a Carrick replacement because if we're gonna play this gung ho football we're playing right now, of just
He said, what do you call it? He said, Bombo, what?
it's just back and forth football, bro. It's not. There's no real substance to this football. I'm telling you, there's no real substance to this football we're playing. It is really just predicated on what the players do on the day. I'm telling you,
So
offensively, offensively especially, and that's
so give me a name. Give me a name for Casemiro. Give me a name for Casemiro. A replacement.
oh,
Give me a
just
name.
that's why I said it's so hard to give it. If it was down to
Casemiro.
me, what I
Mm.
would do, I would go completely rogue because I would just do it based off of I want to completely change our midfield, and he wouldn't be a replacement for Casemiro, but I would just want to get him in because I want to get other guys like him. But Fabian Ruiz from PSG, I really like, and that's what I think United's midfield should look like in the sense of back and forth, plays very well with the winger on his side, plays very well with the fullback on his side. Also complements any midfielder he plays with because he's very back and forth and he understands like it's not he understands one twos. You don't pass him the ball and then he just tries to find this guy and it's completely out of left field. He's someone that understands the game. So that's someone I will go for because all this talk about Nana Tonali, you're just gonna get caught in that same you are still in that same purgatory if you don't really know what you're trying to do. And it's really hard to find someone that complements Menu until you find someone that understands how he plays. And Casemiro is experienced enough to, in situations, understand how Kobe plays. But there's certain ways Kobe likes to receive the ball, certain one-twos he likes to play. His movement is not back and forth. So you need a guy that's really smart to understand that. And that's why I don't think we should be playing in midfield two. And I only said Fabian because I want us to play in midfield three. And that brings me to my second point, the point you mentioned about Bruno Fernandes. I want him gone. Because that is the guy that is stopping us from playing in midfield three.
Brothers, in the same
That is the
in
guy
the
that is
same
stopping.
page.
And listen, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I don't think Bruno is a bad player. I think he's pretty good. Like he has a lot of really good qualities that most other players don't have. But the thing about Bruno is, it's like I don't want to say it's like the Kane thing because Kane is just clear of him. But um, you play with a guy for so long and you are predicated on what this guy does for you offensively for so long. And that's why in certain games when Bruno doesn't play, it looks like the team is devoid of ideas because they've been tasked to play with this guy for so long who pretty much plays the way he wants, but like offensively, everything runs through him. So when you give them 2, 3 games where he's out, and he's really out for 2, 3 games, he's not for a stretch. They look lost, and obviously they look lost because he's always the one trying to predicate how the team plays, how dictate how the team plays. And once we free ourselves from that, I'm telling you, I think it's going to be better for us in the long run because people are just looking at the numbers and saying, "Oh, you're going to lose this much." I'm telling you, those things will spread out because the team will understand themselves better. They will be able to play with themselves better, and those numbers will be spread across the team. And I'm not saying that it's the same players we have that are going to spread those goals across the team because I still think, aside from Bruno, we still have other offensive problems. I don't think we would still be the same offensive team if Bruno left because there's still some people that I think or some changes we need to make. But on the basis of Bruno, the reason I want him gone simply is because of the fact that I do not want. I'm tired of because for me, and it's very rare because even City now they kind of have that anchor with Turkey now, but it's very different because they allow Turkey to float, and Bernardo is kind of doing the job of two people when they defend with Turkey. But it's very rare that you see top teams having that one guy. Like it's almost like it's not the 10 is not completely lost, but it's almost like the 10 is lost in a sense. Like most teams run three.
You can have you can have that one
You
guy
can,
as a,
you can,
but our reliance on that one guy is the question or is the issue
yeah.
there
And,
actually. And I get what you're trying to say. You feel like United are like over reliant on Bruno, and if it doesn't perform, that's it. It's a wrap. And you feel like a team as big as United, you've seen yourself the glory days, Perez, Rooney, Ronaldo, and Cole, Giggs, and all that. And it's always like a team, a team, a team. You understand?
yeah,
You feel like you're not seeing your United right now play like a team. Instead, they just focused on Fernandez.
yeah.
Is that
Also,
what
what
you're
I
trying to
really
say?
need to say is, I'm not just saying this because I feel like what I need to say is overwhelmingly outside of the goals and assists, he is so poor physically. He cannot track runs. There's so many things. Even when he plays in midfield or if he's in the camp, he cannot read the game. He cannot tell you how the game is going and predicate how he plays on how the game is going. He's really poor at that. For someone that is 31 years old, you would think he would actually understand how to do that now. But that's one of the reasons why I don't think he can stay. Because obviously you can say, why not play Bruno in a three? But it's not going to work because all those things that, and that's why Pogba was really for me so poor at United because on the ball, there's really no one else probably better than Paul Pogba. But tracking his man, reading a game, all those things where you get called lapse of concentration, those things are very important in midfield. Those are the most important things in midfield. And I think Bruno Fernandes, for me, really lacks that to a very prestige extent where I can say, okay, this guy is someone I would want to have in the midfield three. That's why. Because I still think Bruno is a class player. Don't get me wrong. I think he's very good. And I think also another thing is we will get a good amount of money for selling him. So why not? Take the money. He can go to Bayern, run his numbers up there. It's an easier league. Get your dunks, man. You can lob it up to Kane, lob it up to Elise. Get your cash and just get out of here, man.
Fair enough, David. So, babe, back on the game, right? I'll let you guys go. Back on the game. I'm gonna ask you a question on the game to David. It's not gonna to that something here. I want to hear how you like. What's your own ideologies and your Darling United. For the game, real quick, what do you think went wrong holistically? What went wrong there?
In this, well, it was. See, this game was always coming. United have not played any differently than what they played against Arsenal, than what they played against City, than what they played against Fulham. The difference is they won those games. Now, when I said before, like I said before, there will come a time where you will run out of that luck. And what's going to show through is your coaching and how well your team understands what the things you're trying to communicate across. And the truth is, it showed that number one, we don't have a great coach yet, and that's not his fault. He's just learning. I'll free him there. And two, we rely too much on individual brilliance. Individual brilliance will never beat people that understand a system. It will never beat it. Also, United fans need to stop thinking that this team is good enough to win the league or even challenge for the league because football is not difficult to understand. If we were good enough, we would be good enough. We would be there. But we're not because we're not good enough. Bruno is not good enough to lead it. There's a reason he's never won a league title in his life. That's not an accident.
Hold on.
That is not an accident. Hmm? Never won. He
Wow.
has never won a league title in his life. That's not an accident. So we
Wow.
have to understand. We can't cheat the process. You gotta pick whoever we sign next season, man. And I'm going away from the point. Please, please, please understand that you can't cheat this process. It will take time for us to be good again. And when I mean good, I mean competing on multiple fronts consistently, season after season after season. That takes time to do. You can't rush this process. United will show, and again, United could win the next 4 games, but it wouldn't change my opinion because I know it's not based on anything real. It is based on just surviving off of how good are the individuals we have on this team. And as long as that is the case, games like this will need to repeat itself. And it will be either we won the game or we didn't win the game. But we can't keep surviving off of just that.
Are you on the same page, David, on what went wrong today?
I'm pretty much on the same page. I mean, I'm more of like you can have individual quality, but the team should be able to know what its game plan is. Because I'm not just saying that you should get rid of individual brilliance. Individual brilliance is important, but um, there is certain things that should be constants, and we don't have any of that. So that's pretty much all I'm going to say. Like you can have individual quality, but the system should be clear.
I agree with you guys, but I just feel like today, watching the game, right, looking at Lenny Euro today, playing that first half, with playing so sauce. And I think it's very easy for us to blame managers and everything, but the drill was locked in, and if Martinez was not being so good, because I feel like that's a red card anytime, any day. In this new football that we watch, like, come on now. You understand? I feel like if you put those things together, even though you guys are like sloppy in the first half, if you put those things together, you guys are locked in. Let's assume you guys are locked in. Like, let's assume you guys feel like half the way you played in the second half after the red card, that first half. I just feel like we won't lose this
I
game.
don't agree.
Yes. Hmm.
Yeah, it's funny again because I was telling him, as I was telling him, the reason why it looked like we were doing anything in that second half is simply because Leeds did not put us away. Because Leeds could have put us away. The longer you don't put a team away when they're at home, it's bound to happen that they would try.
Premier League,
I
that's
don't
right.
think we should read too much into because I can see even on social media now people are trying to kind of like deflect the result into why did he give us that red card. Now we can argue whether it was red card or not, but people are trying to use that as an excuse to cover up what United did not have ideas
Yeah.
Yeah,
on how to get back in
and
the game.
also on that first half, yeah.
The only reason why I think that at least just let us they let us they kept us in the game.
Also on that first half, because Leeds were obviously not going to attack in the second. I did 2-0 lead. But on the first half, in the first 15, 20 minutes, which is where they got both their goals, and they should have had more probably. If not for the Lissandro block at the end where Tanaka went round the goalie and he blocked it at the line, that would have been 3-0 at half. But
3-0, yeah.
the first
Yeah.
15 minutes of that game, and I'm going to go in depth on what Leeds did here. Leeds set up in a 5-2-3, pretty much. And it was just three guys back with the wing backs very high wide and the two guys in midfield. So what United tried to do was we pinched Amadiallo in because we wanted to cut out. They were like, oh, they have two in there. Yeah, we have two sitting, but if we can use Ahmad, Bruno, and Sesko to cut the pass into those two midfielders, then we can kind of cut their flow. But it was really stupid because you left the wing backs open, right? And then Mazraoui can't join because he's stuck on Okafor, who's the winger, and Calvert-Lewin can't and then what's his name? So that guy is open, and then it leaves. That's why I feel Mazraoui and Euro had bad games to start because they didn't know what they were supposed to do. So many times it came to Mazraoui's side, and Goodmanson was open. So he's like, "Do I go to Goodmanson or do I stick?" And if he leaves, now Euro is like, Calvert-Lewin is on me, and that was something I'm sure Farka told him specifically to Euro is young. You put that body on him. You go there and listen. As pause, pause. But as he leaves, now you leave Okafor, and now Euro is like Okafor or Okafor. What am I saying? Okafor, Okafor, and what's his name? Calvert-Lewin. Who am I going with? So then in situations like that, and even times where you win the ball high up, because of the fact that okay, we've won the ball and they progress so high, these guys have pushed. They don't have options because Amadiello is not wide anymore. He's pushed inside because he was trying to defend inside. Masraoui doesn't have options going, so he's trying to go through two, three people or give it to Casemiro, and then we're running back into trouble. So that's why they had bad games. So saying that those guys were bad, and if those guys were better, we would have been better, is just denying the fact that we were set up poorly to deal with what Leeds were doing. Because those first 15, 20 minutes, they absolutely dominated the game. And I was telling Kennedy, I said, I want to see what this guy does in the second half because it's so blatant that he has no answer to how they are building up. And guess what he does in the second half? He changes absolutely nothing and just hopes that, well, they're going to get used to
Yeah.
it. And as the pressure goes, it's going to go. I didn't agree with that. You're playing your players into bad games and then you're blaming them for having bad games.
Fair, 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 fair. I think my last question is very simple. Do you guys think you can beat Chelsea next weekend? Yeah, for now.
Yes.
Um, Maybe this is something me and David actually talked about before the pod. Honestly, I want to say yes. Like I mentioned to you, we've kind of had a proper record against Chelsea at the bridge now. At least not in terms of necessary results, but how we go there and how we play recently. But at the same time, I feel like this will be a snowball effect. I don't think we'll win. I don't think we'll beat Chelsea.
David said yes.
Yes, but I agree with what he said. I only said yes because the Chelsea game is the type of game United want to play. And that's why we had success against Man City and against Arsenal. Teams with the onus to attack because we've shown it now. And that's also what I wanted to say when I said the thing about we weren't pressing at all. We didn't press. And the couple of times we pressed and we let Mazraoui join, I don't know if you watched the first half, but we won the ball pretty high up a couple times. And I was like, that was pretty good because we actually pressed and we got them to join. But we don't want to press because we pressed with Amorim, and the thing was we didn't understand the spaces we're covering. So now Carrick has kept it pretty simple. When they lose the ball, they just try to get back into their shape. So with a team that is at home, they have the onus to win, and they're a good team. They're probably going to have most of the ball. And our thing is just we need to sit back and we'll exploit the gaps they leave. So that's why I think we could do well. But also, I do agree that this could be a snowball effect because I do think we have a player problem in this team. Um, Not only because I think we're good, but I don't think we're exactly. People say we should be winning the league. I don't believe that crap. We shouldn't be winning the league because we're not good enough. Which is why I also agree with him. I think So I think it could go one of those two ways. Either the game ends up being easier than the Leeds game, or we lose because we're snowballing. Those are the only two ways I see it going.
Yeah. If you guys lose that game next week, that if there's a world whereby you guys lose that game next week, right? Because this is a big game, so form is out the window. We all know this. If you guys lose that game next week, do you guys think that there's fire on the mountain, that top four, top five is not questionable if you lose the game next week? Or you feel like well, we'll figure it out after the next game?
Um, I don't think that's fine. I think we'll do enough to get top five. I still
Okay.
think that it depends. It really depends because at the end of the day, even if we lose that game, Chelsea are still 4 points behind. They still got to win games. I don't think maybe because they win games and hunt us down or Liverpool down.
Yeah,
Aston Villa could give them a chance. But I
yeah,
think United will do enough to get
yeah.
third or fourth or fifth. They will do enough. But I don't know if Chelsea have enough to really hunt us down.
Yeah.
So
How about you, David? What do you think?
Yeah, I think the guys around us will drop points too, so I think we're safe. I think we'll get Champions League next season because the guys around us are just bad. So I mean,
All right. Okay. Well, that's all for it, guys. Five aside, we out. This is AK.
I want to say something before you went off.
Uh-oh.
What we were talking about at the beginning, where it's like you were giving me your reasons why you didn't like Lucinho,
Mm-hmm.
are the exact same reasons why I don't like Carrick.
Mm,
I just don't think he's not there yet. Now, and I know you don't have anything personal against Lucinho. You
I don't
just
know.
know that he's not there yet. He's not experienced enough to take you where you feel like Chelsea need to go.
I think I will
That's
add
what
to
I'm
that.
saying about Carrick.
I think I will add to that because if you look at Rosinho's bench, there's no conviction in his technical staff. Like, I mean, no disrespect to them, but look at United. I can speak of Steve Holland. I know what Steve Holland has done. He has worked for Chelsea, worked for England. You understand every success that we've achieved at Chelsea. Steve was a major part of it. As a good assistant to supporting the guy at the top. You understand? But when I look at my as Chelsea's Rosinho's, I mean Rosinho's backroom staff, to be fair, these are like guys that should just literally just under 23 max, academies coaches max. You understand? Like I don't see no experience in that, and that's my own worry because I'm like I don't expect the main guy to know everything, but look at who's rolling with you. You understand? Like, and that's just where that's my own fear on that too. So yeah. Anyway, this is not about Chelsea. This is not. In fact, this is not. I'm not a Chelsea fan right now. I'm just
when it's
speaking
about
as a
Chelsea, I
fan.
would like to join in because Christ, I have a lot to say about Chelsea. But
Yeah, he's got a lot to say about Chelsea. Yeah,
No, don't
he
worry.
got opinions.
Don't worry. We'll do more, David. We need you more, man. We need you more. But anyway, man, I appreciate you guys for joining. This was a review for Manchester United versus Leeds. You guys like, subscribe, and get tuned into Five Side. I'm AK. I had Topiya, and I had David. And for that, we out.